Afternoon Garage. So as I said last week, we're going to be doing some electroplating, specifically zinc plating. We're going to be using a yellow dichromate and a blue dichromate. So basically what you have here is you have a bare metal screw or a washer or a nut or a bolt, and you take and you strip it all the way down, take all the existing zinc plating off of it, and then you plate it, and then you put some kind of protective coating. So the zinc protects the metal, the coating protects the zinc. And let me tell you, take good care of this kind of stuff, you take good care of your hardware, keep it clean, should last many years. So now what I want to do is take that wire wheel, take the rust and the existing zinc plating completely off, those nuts and bolts. Well, now I'm at the point where I need to take care of these fasteners. I need to set up some kind of a plating system here to, I need to strip the looks like a yellow chromate off of these things and replate with zinc. And then some will be blue chromate and some will be yellow chromate. That's how you get the kind of the yellow sheen on it. And the majority of the parts are going to be done that way. So let's set up a plating tank and get started making these look like new again. Okay, so I did all the work on these, and you can see some of them have a little bit of discoloration somewhere. So what you want to do is you want to kind of take something like this. It's got a little small rotary tool. You also notice there's some paint in there. You kind of want to just detail that out. Just about done cleaning up all these parts. I got them all over the floor. I got the bench full of fasteners. About ready to start plating and painting this stuff. The paint aspect is kind of going to work out by itself because, it's just hang them up and paint them. This plating thing's kind of throwing me for a loop. Mainly, you can't get distilled water anymore. I've tried over many weeks to buy distilled water. They just don't have it in the stores. I think it's what's going on in the world today. There's a lot of requirements for humidifiers and that kind of thing, which take distilled water. If you put anything else in it, well, it just doesn't work well. So I think it leaves a residue and it kind of gums things up. Same with the plating process. Now when I start to plate these bolts and that kind of thing, if you don't use distilled water, it has minerals and that kind of thing, and you end up getting, it kind of oxidizes a little bit and creates a rough surface. You definitely don't want that. So there's no distilled water. We have to make our own. So this is by Mr. Fusion. Basically it's a 4-liter distilled water maker. For lack of a better word. You put a bunch of water in it and it'll sit there and heat up the water and fill the jug and basically make as much as you want. So the problem with this is that this thing here takes a lot of electricity to run. This thing here is about $90 to $100. So it's kind of expensive. So it's really not ideal if you can go out and buy 99-cent gallons of distilled water in the store. It's definitely preferable, but due to the fact that there's none out there, well, I'll be making my own. Let's get to that. Well, it's going to take a little while. This doesn't happen very quickly, does it? I gotta tell you something about this that I found out. This has kind of been a learning experience for me. Now, I've been electroplating for quite a few years now, and the surface I get is acceptable because what it does is just kind of protects the surface, but not desirable. So basically, I watched an entertaining video on how to do this, and the guy set up his plating tank, and, well, he tasted it.
Of course, you can scale this recipe up or down, but that's plenty for what we're going to be doing. 100 grams of Epsom salts, which I have pre-measured in this cup. I'm going to go ahead and stir this, dissolve these crystals completely. How much would you give me to drink a tablespoon of this stuff? Thumbs up? I think it's worth it.
No. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. Because then I start to taste them. I say...
So basically what he kind of did was he set up, a vinegar, Epsom salts kind of bath. That's the way I've been doing it for many, many years. And just take standard zinc plates and plate it up. But the results I was getting were far from spectacular. So I'm going to change it up this time, see what I can do to make this process a little bit better. I know they recommend you take some steel wool and kind of shine up the parts before you chromate them. I don't want to touch them at all. What I want to do is I want to basically just dip them in the bath, as I see other electroplaters do, and take them out. They come out all shiny, and you dip them in the chromate, and you hang them up, and you're good to go. I've never experienced that myself, but I know that there's a way, either with temperature or product or something like that, to get the results that I'm seeing that other people are getting. So here's how I set out my plating bath. Alright, let this sit for about an hour. You can see most of it's all dissolved. What I want to do is take a resistance measurement here. It looks like that's about 36.5 ohms. So when that gets closer to 0. Right now I'm having a bit of a problem now. You can see that I plated that bolt. And I've done a lot of plating here. And typically I'm not really concerned about how shiny it is. But this time I am. You can also see that the conversion coating didn't stick on the head up here, and then what's exposed is the zinc plating, and it's very dull gray. Same thing here, kind of happened on the threads. Didn't get it very clean underneath there probably. So probably need to acid dip these a little better. And you can see here that some of the existing zinc plating was left on there. So I think what I need to do is dip these in sulfuric acid really well and get them, or excuse me, hydrochloric acid, and get them really clean, get all the zinc stripped off first. But more than that, this Epsom salt and vinegar combination, I really don't think that's the right thing to use. I've used Caswell's products, and so what I did was I got their Copy Cad zinc concentrate, and that's 2 parts, and then I was actually able to find some distilled water. Yay. So it's cheap enough and a lot better than making distilled water, so I have enough of that now, and then I'm going to put this zinc brightener in there. So this whole thing works all together. Probably going to put it in a 2-gallon bucket, and this is enough for 1.5 gallons, and then we'll see if we can get these parts out of there a lot shinier than they are now. Next thing we want to check is our conductivity, and so it looks like it's about 84 ohms. So what happens is this kind of sits in this acid here, and it gets it sloughs off zinc ions, and I guess what happens is once it distributes in the fluid, well then your resistance goes down, and when it goes down to nearly zero, we can put parts in there and start plating. So we'll probably have to wait, I don't know, sometimes it's quite a few hours, and we'll keep on checking this resistance. When it changes, when it goes down, we're ready to plate. Okay, so here I have my plating set up. So you can see I got, 2 zinc electrodes. I actually bolted them to the side, so you could actually put this lid on a little bit. You can take this off and it'll kind of seal a little bit. Of course, this is heated. And there's a little pump in here. There it goes. Pumping the fluid around. Temperature is about 105. Looks pretty good. So now that I have some really good electroplating solution, even though it looks like mud, well, let's try it and see what kind of results I get. Bet you I'm going to get much better results than, well, what I had before. Now we're going to do some bolts. These 4 here. Alright, let that sit for about half an hour. With the lid on.
20 minutes later. One hour later.
Right, here's a good example. If you shake these parts vigorously, I don't know what it is, but you can see that it didn't get plated all the way. So that's one thing you want to make sure, and when you pull them out of the bath, I know it's really kind of human nature to sit there and shake it off out of the chromate bath here, but you know what? That's what happens. So now I'm going to have to strip this all the way down, take everything off again, and then replate. So now we're getting mostly through all of this zinc plating I've done here. I've hung all the parts up to dry. Let's go check those out, see what they look like. All right, all these fasteners look pretty good. There's an example of the blue dichromate there, or blue chromate. And these washers went blue chromate as well. You can see on this part here how it has kind of a green and red tint. That's a good yellow chromate there. Overall, I think they turned out great. Alright, I'm really happy with what's going on here. This process was definitely streamlined a little bit. I was able to eliminate some steps, say the wire wheel process, and also some of the cleaning process that I had to do. You know, it's really good to use that ultrasonic tank, but you know, if you don't have it, using that muriatic acid, one thing about that muriatic acid, like I said, I'm going to keep all that outdoors. It won't strip paint off of anything, and if you have undercoating on it or anything like that, what it's going to do is going to encapsulate what's already there. So if you have some zinc plate underneath that, if you don't remove that first with the wire wheel, well, it's always going to stay there, and you're going to end up with a blemish in your finish. And you know, by the way those looked, you definitely don't want that. So next week, we're going to be putting this thing back together. Getting really excited to put the front end back together, get that drop down on the ground, start on the rear of the car. But you'll have to wait till next week. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching.